out of those 5 is the Ian Flynn, Evan Stanley collab. Now, in case you guys don't know, Mega Beatman, also known as Matt, towards the end of his review of issue 32, talked about how Evan Stanley and Ian Flynn are going to kind of collab together. They're going to kind of work off each other when it comes to the Sonic book. Now, what that means, basically, from what I understand, is there's going to be how do I put this? From what I can gather is, Evan Stanley, of course, is taking over as the new head writer of the main Sonic book at IDW. Well, Ian Flynn, he'll still be working on Sonic, but he's going to be primarily focusing on the Bad Guys spinoff that they're doing, as well as focus on other projects. Like, he currently helps out with the crossover. He currently does writing for the crossover of My Little Pony and Transformers and other things like Ninja Turtles and stuff. So basically, what Mega Beatman addressed yesterday towards the end of his review is that Evan Stanley and Ian Flynn would be working together, working off each other, kind of collabing together, to where, as far as continuity goes, nothing would be lost. Nothing would be confused. Nothing would be lost. There would be no confusion. If Evan, comes up with something that fits in the story, then Ian Flynn's just going to pick up where she left off. If she has to take a break or she has to focus on other projects, Ian Flynn would just pick up where she left off, and it feels like nothing would be nothing would be lost. Same thing with her starting next issue with issue 33. Nothing would be lost as far as what Ian Flynn has done before her. And so basically, long story short, the short is they're collabing together to make sure that the continuity is followed through to a T as far as the IDW book goes. Now, that all sounds great and everything. I'm not going to knock it. I think it's a great idea that both are pretty much agreeing that, hey, we're going to keep the story going as is. Nothing's really going to be lost. We may put in our own ideas here and there, but as long as they fit within the context of the story and the continuity, then that's fine. And again, I think it's a great idea. I think, honestly, if they probably would have done something like this with the Archie book, between all the multiple writers that were there, I don't think we would have had much of a cluster, when it came to the story series, the continuity, and the characters. However, and I don't like saying this, and I know people might comment and say, oh, that's not entirely true, Brian. You don't know if that's true or anything. And I got some people in here. I don't know what is going on. I guess Valentina Elario is really excited about things. Anyway, like I said, long story short, what was I? Oh yeah. Basically, again, I know I might get criticized about this a little bit, but as far as the collabing goes, again, I think it's a great idea. It's something that I think when Ken Penders and Carl Bollers and all of them were working on the Archie book, they could have, taken a page. They could have really, took a page out of what Ian Flynn and Evan are doing right now. And if they would have done that, things probably wouldn't have been so messed up, if you know what I mean. Such a cluster, when it came to story, when it came to the continuity and the characters and what have you. However, and again, I know I might get criticized about this. However, I don't see this collabing or this, kind of working together kind of deal lasting long. And here's why. And this is not a knock. This is not a knock towards Evan or Ian, okay? But I think Ian's going to get so focused on working not just on the spinoff, but after he's done with the bad guy spinoff for the Sonic IDW book, he's going to start focusing on other things. He's going to start focusing on, Transformers, My Little Pony, Ninja Turtles, whatever other projects that IDW has, either it's their original material or licensed material. I think what's going to happen is Ian Flynn's going to focus more on that, and he's going to basically leave Stanley to Evan. He's going to leave her to her own studies. He's going to leave her to her own ideas, if you know what I mean. And I bring this up, and I say this, and I bring it up because I think honestly that, as I mentioned, I like the idea of, two writers working together as co-head writers of a book, kind of working off each other. But I think as time goes on and Ian Flynn wraps up working on the bad guy spinoff book for the Sonic comic, I think, like I said, he's going to start focusing on other projects of other licenses or original comics that IDW has that he could contribute his writing skills to and the storytelling skills to, despite how people might feel about him when it comes to that. And I think Evan's going to be left to her own devices. He's going to let Evan do her own thing, and then eventually, in my opinion, Evan's going to start wanting to expand on the world a little bit more. And I bring this up because I think this might be, keep in mind, might be, the opportunity that, Evan has, not just Evan, but fans have been waiting for quite some time. I think, honestly, this could open up the door for other characters that we want to see in the book that debuted in the Archie book that are not Penders related, not Penders owned, but other characters that did debut there to show up here. And I think the door is going to be wide open for Evan very soon. I think she's going to have the door open for her very, very soon. Now, I know some of you might say that's not going to happen. Sega has pretty much put the foot down. Excuse me. They pretty much put the foot down. It's not going to happen. It'll never occur. But again, I want you to recall something, guys. I want you to recall something. All right. When Ken Penders would focus more on the Knuckles book and other projects he was working on, and he left Carl Bowlers and others other writers to their own devices as far as the main book goes, they came up with ideas that even Ken didn't know about. Ken didn't, know about, that they put into the continuity. And when Ken came back, he had to fix a few things, or at least try to, in his final issues, within the final issues that he was writing for when it came to the book. But there were also some ideas he actually kept in there because he figured, okay, it's too late now to kind of fix everything. Everybody pretty much is now looking at this or that as part of continuity. And there you go. So I think, honestly, when it comes down to it, in reality, I think we kind of see something similar. I see something actually similar happening here. I see Evan Stanley eventually being allowed to go off on her own down the line. Because, again, I see Ian Flynn, after doing the Bad Guys book, going and doing his own thing with other properties owned by IDW, maybe even freelancing himself to other companies like Marvel or DC or Image or whoever. I can see him doing that eventually down the line and focusing more in that area. And like I said, leaving someone like Evan and possibly another future writer to come along down the line to their own devices. And like I said, to me, this has the potential to, open up the door for, possibilities. Again, I'm not saying that it's going to happen. I'm not saying it will happen. but I think it opens up the door. I really do. I think, when you look at the fact that right now, the plan for them to collab together to kind of work off each other when it comes to the book, I think it's great. Like I said, I think it's a good idea. It's something that if Penders and Bowlers, um, could have, worked off. I think honestly, it's something that I believe if Penders and Bowlers knew what each other were doing, they could have done the same thing and things would have been better. We wouldn't, like I said, we wouldn't have had the mess that we did. And even later on when Ian Flynn would do the Archie book and then let others do the book, I think it would have been great if they would have done it back then as well, because that way there wouldn't be too much confusion. Anyway, I think honestly, to me, in my opinion, um, I just feel this collaboration that's good for right now. That's a great idea for right now. I don't think it's going to last long. I really don't. I think honestly that down the line, again, I think down the line, it's gonna change. I think honestly, it's gonna change, and I think it's gonna change perhaps for the better, because I could see, um, basically, how do I put this? I could see, like I said, Evan going in, and I'm just reading some things here on Twitter, but I could see someone like Evan going off and doing her own thing eventually with the Sonic book, where Ian Flynn, as I mentioned, goes off and does his own thing elsewhere after he does the bad guy spinoff. Now, could I be wrong about that? Absolutely, I could be wrong. I'm not denying that. You know, there are times, we could say, oh well, this writer went off and did their own thing and everything, but what I'm trying to say is, hold on for a sec. Excuse me. But like I said, we've all said that about, this kind of an idea where we think, oh, the collaboration between two writers on a book, whether it's Marvel, DC, or whatever, it's not going to last long. And, this writer's going to go off and be able to do their own thing with the book while this other writer does other things. But then eventually, those writers do come back together and collab and kind of basically continue where, the new head writer left off, so that nothing is lost. There's always been those moments where, you might think it's not going to last, but then all of a sudden it does end up coming back together. It does kind of, end up lasting and working, for a bit longer. And again, like I said, I have nothing against a collaboration like this. I really don't. I think it's good for the book. I think it's good for the book. It helps, keep things intact. It keeps the reader's attentions. There's no confusion possibly. But in the end, like I said, in my humble opinion, I just don't see it lasting. Ian Flynn, he's going to do the bad guys book, like I said, and then he's going to go off and do other things, not just within IDW, but with other publishers. He's going to freelance himself to help contribute and write stories for Marvel and DC and Image and Top Cow and whoever. And Evan Stanley is going to be allowed to go in her own direction or down her own path. And you can't tell me that Evan, and if she's watching this, Evan, you can't tell me that you aren't looking forward to doing that. You're not. You can't tell me that you're not looking forward to possibly the day that when the day comes and Ian goes off and does his own thing, that you'll have that burden, or that burden kind of. I'm not saying Ian's a burden or anything, but you kind of have that. You don't have that extra head looking over your shoulder or anything like that to make sure you're doing certain things the way they want. You can't tell me, Evan, that you're not looking forward to the possibility of being able to do your own thing and give the fans what they want. Because I think that moment is coming. It may not be right now, but depending on how long this book lasts and how long you remain as the head writer for right now as a book, basically as a co-head writer before eventually becoming the head writer, because we all know that's going to happen. You can't tell me you aren't looking forward to that day, because then that way you don't have to worry about Ian looking over your shoulder, making sure that you keep in, that you kind of keep in stride, you kind of coincide, if you will, with what he's already done, that you'll be able to do your own thing. You can't tell me, Ivan, and nobody else watching this can't tell me that you aren't looking forward to that, because you are. Anybody that gets an opportunity like what you got with IDW, Ivan, look forward to an opportunity like that. They're like, they count down the days, the moments, the minutes, the months, till the day comes when they're given that title of sole head writer, because the other co-head writer is now off doing their own thing elsewhere, and now you have the opportunity to write the stories you want to write. You have the opportunity to write the stories that you want to write, that the fans want you to write. And again, I think it opens the door for possibilities. I really do. I think it really opens the door, in my opinion. Now, like I said, I could be wrong. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying I'm going to be right, but I just get this feeling that, because of what we've seen in the past with Ian, with all due respect to the guy, I think we're probably going to eventually see him go off and do his own thing, because to me, it almost feels like, and he can come out and probably deny it, and that's fine. It's cool, whatever. But I think, honestly, Ian's probably looking forward to the day that he finishes up with that final issue of the Bad Guy spinoff, to where now he'll be free from the Sonic burden forever. Well, not forever, but for the time being, and let someone else take on that burden. So, because honestly, what I can sense is that even though Ian's a fan of Sonic, I think he wants to go off and do other things. I think he wants to have the opportunity to write for other books. Like I said, he's currently helping with this crossover here between Transformers and My Little Pony. He's contributed stories for the IDW Ninja Turtles, the Nickelodeon ones as well. And I'm pretty sure he's contributed or plans to contribute to other properties licensed by IDW or original ideas that IDW owns solely. He's probably looking forward to that moment. He's probably looking forward to that moment. And just like Ivan's counting down the days of being able to finally, eventually be the sole head writer of this book, so is he. He's looking forward to the day where he'll be able to finally contribute to other things besides Sonic, to where he could just, for the time being, leave Sonic in the back and go off and do other things. Again, I'm not saying. Again, let me repeat myself here, and I know I do that a lot, but let me repeat myself by saying I'm not saying I'm going to be right. Okay, I'm not saying I'll be right, but I just look at this as one of those situations to where, you could just feel like something's going to change. You feel like something's going to occur, so that when Ian Flynn does come back eventually, he's going to notice, and he'll probably pay attention, but he'll notice that even though a lot of the continuity that he left behind originally is still there, that there's new additions of things, new parts of the world that are being explored, new characters that are debuting, new original characters or returning characters from the Archie books making their debut in IDW. He'll start seeing that, and he's going to have to work within it, because that's what the deal is. If Ivan's got to do something comes up and she can't do the book anymore, part of the deal is he's got to work with what she put in there as well. And if she decides, hey, I want to bring in the Wolf Pack. I want to bring in Lupe. I want to bring in Lupe and the Wolf Pack to be part of this. I want to bring in an IDW version of her. She can do that. She can do that. She wants to go the romantic route and say, you know what? Everybody likes Silver and Blaze together. I'm going to go put Silver and Blaze together. He's going to have to work within that bubble. He's going to have to. The point is that I'm getting at is, you know, eventually when Ian comes back, and I've got a feeling, like I said, I've just got this feeling he's going to go off and do other things after the Bad Guys thing, after he's done inking the script for the Bad Guys comic. He's going to go off and do his own thing, to where I truly believe when he comes back eventually, he's going to see this. He'll be glad the continuity is still the same, but he'll probably raise an eyebrow and be like, really, Ivan? You brought in Lupe and the Wolfpack? Or really, Ivan? You put Silver and Blaze together romantically? Because I think what opens the door for a lot of this to happen as well is the ending. And this is where the whole collab thing comes into play, because basically it allows, I think Matt, a.k.a. Mega Beatman, said it best, it allows Ivan to start off somewhat with a clean slate, because Sonic's now just journeying around the world like he did before. So it opens the doors again for Ivan to do whatever she needs to do in the context of the continuity to help make the story intriguing and better than what it was before. And if that includes bringing in, characters from Archie comics and making them the making them the IDW equivalent of who they, making them the IDW equivalent of who they were, then, that's going to work too. I don't think anybody would have a problem either way. But like I said, I think, honestly, though, in close, because I know I don't want this topic to go too long on this first one. Because I don't want something. I don't want this to go too long on this one. But basically, I feel honestly that even though the collab idea is good right now, I think very soon, it's after it's all said and done, I think Ian's going to go off and do his own thing, and it's going to clear the path for Ivan to write more stories, or he's be more free, if you will, and be able to write some of the stories that she's been wanting to write, and that she knows the fans have been wanting fans have been wanting to be written, I should say. So I think that's what's going to happen. I think, in my honest opinion, the collabs, it'll be there. It'll still be around. But I think what's going to happen is that after the Bad Guys thing is done, and Ian goes off and does his own thing for a while before maybe venturing back and helping to write some stories for the main book of the IDW Sonic. I've got a feeling that during that time he's away, Ivan is going to play, if you know what I mean. She's going to go and do her own thing for a bit, but she'll make sure that it's in the context of the continuity that, Ian Flynn tried to help us, that Ian Flynn kind of established, and that she's getting an opportunity to have somewhat of a clean slate to work off of starting on issue 33. Now, as I mentioned, am I going to be wrong? Probably, but I don't know. Anything's possible, but let me ask any of you this. If you were in Ivan Stanley's shoes, and you were told by Ian Flynn, hey, you're going to be the new co-head writer of the book, if not the sole head writer of the book, while I go off and do other things, while I work on the spin-off book and possibly do other things. Put yourself in her shoes. If you knew that there was a slight, if not strong, possibility that after Ian Flynn worked on the Bad Guy spin-off book or tie-in book, and then went off and did his own thing for quite some time before venturing back to the comic to write some stories for, wouldn't you want to take advantage of the opportunity to maybe within the context of the continuity to add some new elements, probably bring in some characters that fans have been wanting to see? I mean, I know I would, because honestly, if you're giving me somewhat of a clean slate to work off of in my debut issue, of course I'm going to do it. Of course I'm going to go that route eventually. So I think, in my honest opinion, down the line, very, very soon, it may not be immediately, but I got a feeling by the start of next year, Evan Stanley is going to start getting that ball rolling to, where, to the point that she's going to start writing her own kind of stories, bringing in new additional elements to the world, bringing in, introducing new, if not bringing in some popular characters from other Sonic media. I've got a feeling 2021, she's going to start doing that. She's going to start getting that ball rolling, and that possibly towards the middle or end of 2021, and if Ian Flynn is still, wanting to contribute to the Sonic book, he's going to come back, and he's going to probably have to work within that context of what she's added, and he knows it. He knows that to be true. So again, it's just my opinion, but here's the thing. I've been reading the Sonic comics even when they were under the Archie license since they began. I was a subscriber to them from late '97 to they ended a couple of years back, till the license came to an end a couple of years back. That's how long I've been subscribing. I've subscribed to the Sonic book when they were under the Archie license. That's how long I've been a fan of the comics in general, no matter what the publisher. And that's why I kind of have a gist as to what I could see possibly happening. I just get this feeling. And like I said, I know some people will deny it. They'll say, well, they'll probably point out that I could be wrong. And you know what? Maybe I am. Maybe I am wrong. But again, when you think about it, folks, if you're Evan Stanley and you are now basically put solely in charge, well, sort of solely in charge of writing for the main Sonic book, while the original head writer is off writing for the spinoff of the tie-in book, and then eventually moving on to other things within IDW and even outside of IDW, don't you think that the moment that occurs, when the original head writers start focusing on other projects, that you wouldn't want to take the opportunity to start implementing your own ideas of what the world is like, your own ideas of what characters originally and returning from other, originally that could debut in the book and from other Sonic media could debut in the book? Wouldn't you want to take advantage of that opportunity? I know I would. I know I definitely would. And I know I'm not alone in that. I know that I am not alone in that. And again, I know some people, like I said, will kind of deny that and say it's not going to happen. I know some people will say, oh, it's not going to happen, Brian. You're wrong about that. And maybe I am. Maybe I am. But I just feel that the door is open, is what I'm saying. I just feel like the door is open right now for this to happen, for this to occur. And again, I know it doesn't seem possible to some people. I know some people will be like, that's not going to happen. They're going to make sure it doesn't happen, that the collab has to go the way it's got to go. And that might be true. And again, it all might be true. But in closing, to finish off this first subtopic of the main Sonic topic here, in this two-part topic, topics on my mind, I just feel, in my opinion, that I don't think it's going to last. I don't think the collaboration is going to last long. I really don't. I think, in my honest opinion, eventually, starting around 2021, maybe not immediately, but in the early portion of it, that's when Evan Stanley is going to get that domino effect going, and she's going to start sooner or later contributing her own ideas, into the book. She's gonna, contribute her own ideas of what the world's like. She's gonna want to introduce maybe some new original characters that she's come up with, and maybe even bring in some returning characters from other medias of Sonic that we've seen before. So I could see that. I could see that honestly happening. And like I said, I know some people be like, "Oh, it's not gonna happen, Brian. You're over analyzing it. That's da 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 da." Really? I'm over analyzing it. Again, I want you to listen. I want you to read, and I want you to particularly listen to some of what Ian Flynn has to say. And I say this with all due respect, because it sounds like to me he's kind of losing that passion to write. To write for anything that's Sonic related, and he's more focused on wanting to do things outside of it. So I think honestly, I think honestly, it's just going to. I just think we're going to be going. We're going to start seeing things go down that path. I think it's going to happen probably sooner than you think. I think for right now, what Yvonne's going to do is she's going to just get her feet wet. She's going to continue where Ian Flynn left off, giving her that somewhat clean slate. But once she's got her feet fully immersed, into that river or into that lake, and she goes for that deep dive and that deep swim, that's when you're going to start seeing her go down her own path and start developing ideas on her own. I see it. I know you guys see it. It's just too obvious, in my opinion. And that's really all I can say about it, because, to me, it's just, like I said, I've been a fan for far too long, and it just seems too obvious, in my opinion, that, honestly, that that someone like Yvonne wouldn't take advantage of the opportunity that lies ahead of her, down the line, if not, like I said, around the early portion of next year. So yeah, I honestly believe it's going to happen. I really do. I mean, again, like I said, I have nothing against what's going on right now with this idea of, oh, let's collab together. Let's make sure we each work off each other, kind of deal. I have nothing against that. It does make things a lot more easier for the subscriber and for the viewer or the reader to really get invested in the book. Get invested in the book to the point that, like I said, if Ian Flynn comes back and starts wanting to write for the book more, nothing will be lost. But I truly feel that, Yvonne's going to go down her own path eventually when she starts noticing that Ian's going to focus on other projects besides Sonic. And then that's when you're going to see a lot of things come about from that. You're going to see new elements of Sonic's world in IDW be introduced. You're going to probably see some new original characters be introduced. You might even see some returning characters from other Sonic media be introduced into the book. So again, that's just my opinion. Just my opinion on it. I know some people, like I said, will disagree with it, but it's just an opinion, and nobody really has to agree. Nobody has to agree either way. So that's all I could say on that, guys. That's all I can really say on that. And without further ado, let's move on to a second topic here.